Hello everyone, I'm very happy to see all of you guys again here. In today's video we will continue our most asked important Python interview question. In previous video, we have seen some important questions. Like, what is Python? What are the benefits of using Python? What is a dynamically typed language? What are lists and tuples? What is the key difference between the two? What are modules and packages in Python? And so on. In this video we will continue to see some others important questions. If you didn't watch previous video, please watch before this video. You can find the link for my button, or you can find in description below. Before starting today's video, I would like to request you please like and subscribe. It'll not take more than 1 second. So if you're ready, let's start today's video. What are Python namespaces? Why are they used? In Python, a namespace is a container that holds a set of identifiers, for example, names that correspond to objects such as variables, functions, and classes. Namespaces are used to prevent naming conflicts between different objects in a program, allowing you to use the same name for different objects in different parts of your code. Here is the example of namespace in Python. Next important question is, what are decorators in Python? In Python, a decorator is a special type of function that takes another function as input and returns a modified version of that function. Decorators allow you to add additional functionality to existing functions or classes without modifying their code. They are a powerful and flexible tool that can be used to extend and modify the behavior of functions and classes in your code. Here is another example of decorator function in Python and how we can call decorator function. Next most important question is, what is lambda in Python? Why is it used? In Python, a lambda function is a small anonymous function that can take any number of arguments, but can only have one expression. The expression is evaluated and returned when the function is called. The lambda keyword is used to create a lambda function. Lambda functions are a concise and readable way to define short, throwaway functions in Python, and they can be used to make your code more concise and expressive. Here is another example of lambda function to calculate the sum of all element in a given list. Next question is, what is scope resolution in Python? Scope resolution in Python refers to the process of determining the namespace in which a variable or object is defined. Python uses a scope hierarchy to determine the scope of an identifier like variable, function, class, etc. There are two main types of scopes in Python, global scope and local scope. Global scope. The global scope is defined at the top level of a module and includes all identifiers that are defined outside of any functions or classes. Identifiers in the global scope are available throughout the module and can be accessed from any part of the code. Local scope. Local scopes are created within functions and classes and include all identifiers defined within them. Identifiers in local scopes are only accessible within the function or class in which they are defined and are not accessible from outside of that scope. When you access an identifier, Python searches for it in the local scope first and then, if it's not found, in the enclosing scope. If it's still not found, Python continues searching in the global scope and then in any imported modules. This process is called scope resolution. Here is an example of global scope and local scope in Python. Next most asked question is, what is pickling and unpickling? In Python, pickling and unpickling are the processes of converting a Python object hierarchy into a byte stream, and vice versa. The term pickling comes from the word pickle, which means to preserve food by storing it in a jar with vinegar. Pickling is used to store a Python object hierarchy, example, a list, a dictionary, or a custom object, in a byte stream format, which can be saved to disk, sent over a network, or stored in a database. The byte stream can then be recovered using the unpickling process to recreate the original object hierarchy. Pickling and unpickling are useful for preserving the state of a Python program across multiple runs, for transferring data between processes or over a network, and for storing complex data structures in a database. However, it's important to be cautious when unpickling data from untrusted sources, as malicious code can be included in the byte stream and executed when unpickled. Next most important question which interviewer asked in every interview. What are generators in Python? Generators are a special type of iterator or a special function in Python, used to generate a sequence of values one at a time, instead of generating all the values at once in a data structure like a list or a tuple. The main advantage of using generators is memory efficiency, as the values are generated one at a time as they are needed, instead of being stored in memory all at once. Here is another example of generator function in Python. Next question is, how are arguments passed by value or by reference in Python? In Python, arguments are passed by reference, meaning that the function receives a reference to the object, not a copy of the object itself. This means that any changes made to the argument inside the function will affect the original object, and persist after the function has completed. However, it's important to note that Python does have some data types, such as numbers and strings, that are immutable, meaning that their values cannot be changed. In this case, when a function receives an immutable object as an argument, any changes to that object will actually result in a new object being created, rather than modifying the original object. Next important question, explain split and join functions with example in Python. The split and join functions are string methods in Python used to manipulate strings. The split function is used to split a string into a list of substrings based on a specified separator. For example, if you have a string hello world, and if you use the split function with a comma as the separator, the function will return a list with two elements, hello and world. The join function is the opposite of split function. It is used to join a list of strings into a single string, using a specified separator. For example, if you have a list contains two elements, hello and world, and you use the join function with a comma as the separator, the function will return the string hello world. Here is the example of split and join function in Python. Next question is, what are negative indexes and why are they used? Negative indexes are used to simplify access to elements at the end of a sequence. For example, if you want to access the last element of a list, you can use an index of -1 instead of having to calculate the length of the list and then subtract 1. This can make the code more readable and concise. Next question, how do you access parent members in the child class? In Python, you can access parent class members in the child class using the super function. The super function returns a temporary object of the parent class, allowing you to call its methods. Next question is, differentiate between new and override modifiers. New. The new keyword hides the definition of the base class method and gives a new definition in the derived class. As we all know, override implements polymorphism, which says I want to use the same method but in various classes with the same signature of methods. So let's see why we need override and how we can use it in our applications. Next question, what is init method in Python? Init is a special method in Python classes, also known as a constructor. It is automatically called when an object of the class is created, and it is used to initialize the attributes of the class. Next question is, what are the new features added in the newest Python version? Structural pattern matching. This new feature allows you to perform powerful and concise matching of data structures, like tuples and lists, with pattern matching syntax. Vector call, a new calling protocol for fast calling of built-in functions and methods with improved performance. Improved type hints. Several improvements have been made to the type hint system, including support for structural pattern matching and improved error messages. Function signature changes. A few changes have been made to the signature of built-in functions to improve consistency and functionality. Next question is, what are Python modules? Answer is, in Python, a module is a file that contains definitions and statements. A module can define functions, classes, and variables, and it can also contain executable statements. Modules can be imported into other modules or into the main module, the module that is executed when you run a script. The purpose of modules is to organize related code into reusable and maintainable units. By dividing your code into modules, you can reduce the complexity of your code and make it easier to understand, maintain, and reuse. Next question is, name some commonly used built-in modules in Python. Here are some most used built-in module in Python. 1. OS. This module provides a way to interact with the operating system, such as reading or writing to the file system, executing shell commands, and manipulating environment variables. 2. Random. This module provides functions for generating pseudorandom numbers and for shuffling sequences randomly. 3. Datetime. This module provides classes for working with dates and times, such as calculating the difference between two dates, formatting dates as strings, and parsing strings into dates. There are several other Python built-in modules available ready to use. You can read more about on official documentation. https://www.python.org/doc. Next question is Python case sensitive? Answer is, yes, Python is case sensitive. This means that the names of variables, functions, and classes, as well as the names of keywords and built-in functions, must be written in a consistent case throughout your code. For example, the code will result in a name error if the names of the variables are not written in a consistent case. Next question is, what are functions in Python? Here is the answer. In Python, a function is a block of organized, reusable code that performs a specific task. Functions allow you to encapsulate a piece of code and call it multiple times from different parts of your program, without having to repeat the code. Functions are defined using the def keyword, followed by the function name and a set of parentheses that may include parameters. The code inside the function is indented and is executed when the function is called. Here is the example of Python function. Next question is, how can you randomize the items of a list in place in Python? Answer is, in Python, you can use the random module's shuffle function from the random module to randomize the items of a list in place. This will produce a random order of the items in the list each time you run the code. Note that shuffle modifies the list in place and does not return a new list. Here is the example of randomize the items of a list in place using random module. Next question is, what are docstrings in Python? Answer is, in Python, docstrings are strings that provide documentation for a module, function, class, or method. They are placed at the beginning of the code block, inside triple quotes, either single or double quotes, and serve as the first line of documentation for the code. Docstrings are optional but highly recommended, as they provide valuable information to other programmers, including yourself, who are reading the code. They are also used by various tools, such as the help function and automatic documentation generators, to extract and display information about your code. That's it for this video. Let me know in comments section how you like this video. And don't forget to subscribe, like and share this video with your friends.